it's an honor to be with you tonight. To be a grandparent is such a gift, and it's something that you don't get to decide if you're going to be a grandparent. They also call you what they're going to call you. You don't get to decide that either. So they decide what they're going to call you. Your kids decide when they're going to have kids, and then you then get to step into that role, that beautiful role of loving your children, assisting and helping your children, and loving your grandkids. Just loving them and helping them, especially as Catholic grandparents, helping them to assimilate or take in our faith. So when I want to forward, do I just...
Click the mouse.
Oh, click the mouse. Okay. Hit the right arrow. Okay. All right. I guess I'm not quite sure, Joseph. Sorry.
You could hit this arrow.
Okay. All right. I tried that. Oh, but there we are. Okay. And how did you do this?
So the right.
Oh, the right click.
Not the left one.
I was doing a left. Okay, sorry. All right. Hi. So grandparents in this new era that we are living in, this era that we are living, grandparents are not, okay, I'm going to step over here because your notes are just a little bit different from mine. Okay, grandparents in this new era are not like our grandparents. Our grandparents, I don't know about you, but I remember my grandparents being old. Right? My whole life, my grandpa and grandma on both sides seemed old. Now, I don't think any of us in this room are ready to call ourselves old. Would you agree with that? I mean, we are really, many people in this room are probably from the silent generation, between 25 and 45 born, or 45 to 65, which are baby boomers. I would guess that's largely what this group is. Okay, the children of most people who were born into the baby boomer generation, their children, some of them are Gen Xers, and many of them are millennials. So the children that you parented and that you're now still very much connected to, because that's how millennial children are, they're very connected to you. Your grandchildren are playing a different role for you than your grandparents played for you. That is a very different experience today. So Gen Xers were born between 1965 and 1980. And they call it a micro generation, even though it's 15 years. It was a generation where they were the first latchkey kids, the first ones to come home without a mother there or a father. They came in with a key. There was no one home for a few hours, and they basically had to raise themselves. And what we're seeing is that if there are Generation X parents, their children are, we know this if you have any connection to public schools or Catholic schools, less so Catholic school because there's more of a groundedness for that. But in public schools, I hate to say there's less groundedness. Many of those kids are struggling. And there is a book that is recently out. It's called The Anxious Generation. And I have the man's name who wrote it, but it's called The Anxious Generation. And they are describing the children who might be our grandchildren who are struggling because of cell phones, connection 24/7. If they need something, all they do is tap a quick Google. It's too much. There is just too much. I was in a class for my marriage and family therapy masters. After you're licensed, you have to continually take classes. And one of the classes I took, the person who was teaching it said this. He said, the brains of young people are being rewired in this era. Let me say that again. The brains of young people are being rewired in this era due to technology. Technology is rewiring the brains of our children. And we don't have any say in that. It's happening. Now that's shocking because the human brain has been the same. It's evolved, but not like this. This is crazy how quickly this happened. They're rewiring the brains of young people. And you oftentimes see young people with less of a sense of compassion and less of a sense of mercy for others. And it's not helping that young people, especially young men, although girls are doing this too, doing video games where they're shooting, things are blowing up, and then the next second everybody's up again, they're starting a new game. And so there's a lot going on for our young people today that has never happened before. And so here we are as grandparents, and we can't stand around and wring our hands. We can't. I mean, you can if you want, but we know that that's not going to help anything. We have to be involved. We have to be actively involved as much as our children will allow us to be involved. And if there's estrangement or there's a bit of step back and you're not involved as much as you'd like to be, do not give up. Do not give up. Invite your kids to dinner. Say you'll take the kids if they want to go out for a bite to eat. Just step in, babysit, offer. We have time. Grandparents in this era have time. And maybe we have some expendable income we can spend, maybe take the kids to a park, to the Como Zoo, to the zoo, Apple Valley Zoo. Take them someplace that you know they will like. And what will happen is you're going to be able to create memories with your grandchildren that their own parents at this point may be too busy. Maybe they don't have extra money to take them places. It's not uncommon to see millennial parents working 2 jobs. That's not uncommon. And it's not uncommon to see both parents working 2 jobs. If there are college loans that have to be paid, they have to live someplace. So they're also oftentimes paying for a house. They have to drive, so they're oftentimes paying for cars. They are mortgaged to their eyeballs. And they are also stressed. So you're talking about the anxious children, talking about anxious parents. I'm hoping I'm not making you anxious as I'm saying this. But this is a phenomenon that is unique. It's unique to us in this era that we're living based on several different factors. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So here, this last point, we are largely healthy, active, we're involved. We likely feel younger than our chronological age. And that is a really good thing. That's a good thing. We want to be healthy. We want to choose health. We want to choose to be active. And the more we are, the more likelihood we're going to be able to get down on the floor and play a puzzle or read a book or, I don't mean this to you, but fall asleep while we're reading that book. That we are actively involved in the lives of our grandchildren. Children as well, but grandchildren. Let me see if I can get this. Okay. Do I go, Joseph, do I go next? I'm sorry, I'm just having.
Click the next arrow.
Okay, is that it? Okay, millennials. Millennials want to have it their own way. Do you have this slide next? Okay, millennials. How many people have millennial children? Millennial children were born between 1980 and 1996. That's the generation. If you have, put your hands up again. Okay, look at this. Okay, all right. Okay, most of them are working outside the home. It's not uncommon to see them have more than one job. Many are married, many are not. Many are working in corporate jobs, many are not. Look at this. If they are calling it the way they want it. That's what millennial children are doing, adults are doing. They are making life fit them. They're not fitting into life. They're insisting that life fits them. Does that make sense when I say that? Are you seeing that? Okay. Some people say that this phenomenon came about because of the adage, everybody gets a trophy. Do you know this? You know this? Okay. Everybody gets a trophy. So when these children were playing at their athletic association, whether it was baseball or football or soccer or lacrosse, no matter what team they were on, there was a trophy. So that the winning team, the trophy had to be almost, I kid you not, the size of this table. Okay, not quite. Our daughter's team won the championship one year for baseball. Their trophy had to be so enormous, she could hardly carry. It was ridiculous because they had tables and tables and tables and tables. And everybody came, and they started with the losing team first. By the time that the winning team, by the time their names were called, there was no one left. Everybody had gotten their trophies and left. So the meaning, we've lost meaning is what I'm saying. And in many ways, our millennial children can identify that we've lost meaning, but they don't really know what to do about it. So does that make sense when I say that? That our children, if you have millennial children, that they oftentimes are seeking a sense of meaning, but they don't know where to find that. Okay. Many millennials have children, many do not. One thing for sure, millennials are having it their way. They're going to fight, they're going to keep looking. They have no problem changing jobs. They have no problem taking the skills that they learn from this job, especially if they involve any kind of technology. They're very marketable because any other company will snap them up so quickly because they can bring value to everyone. So millennials have no problem leaving a job. So in that way, there's not as much loyalty to a company as there used to be. Okay? So the children of millennials are even more distinct and individual. So I'm a former teacher, I'm a former religion teacher at Hill Murray High School. And it was on my heart to go back to school. I went three times actually. I went 3 times. And it's crazy to do that because you're working full time and then you're getting to school and you're getting your work done. But the first time was to the seminary, and the second time was a marriage and family therapy master's degree. Going for that degree, I get to see how the children of millennials, they're different. And the way that they're different, they want to grasp meaning. They want to know what they should be doing. And they're looking to their parents for that meaning. But if their parents don't have it, where are they else going to look? To their friends and to the internet. To their friends and to the internet. We don't want that. We absolutely do not want that. Because their friends are not a good litmus test for them to figure things out. And the internet is worse. So here's where grandparents come in. Grandparents can step in and be available. That's the first and most important thing. Drop what you're doing and be available. And if they call, you can take the call. If they ask you if you can come to a game, of course. When is it? And put it on the calendar and be there. If they ask if you can come to a dance recital, of course, when is it? So our older granddaughter is 11. She's 11, and she is in a dance team that does competing here in the cities. And in order to go see her, the dance is at 7 o'clock on Sunday morning. Someplace here in the cities. So I make sure I get to Mass Saturday night. I get myself to Mass on Saturday night, get up nice and early, go wherever I have to go to see her, buy her something special at the shop as well. They always love that. But we are there. That's what's being asked of us today, is we need to be there. Does this make sense? Okay. Does anybody have questions or comments they'd like to make? Okay. Okay. Okay, let me try that again. Okay. Oh, yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Mary Louise.
I have 10 grandchildren,
Okay.
and sometimes I have trouble drawing perimeters when to say no.
Okay.
Sometimes I find myself being asked so much,
Sure.
and I know I've got a limit of my energy level,
Right.
and I also have a handicap.
Sure.
So I'm grateful to God that I've been able to have these years of my grandchildren. But I just wondered if you could guide us a little bit on how to know what our perimeters are when we say yes and when we say
Okay, that's a very good question. So, yes, thank you so much. So Mary Louise asked, how do we say no and when do we say no? Because sometimes we can't always say yes. Mary Louise said she has 10 grandchildren, one in heaven, which I'm sorry for that. I ache for that. I worry about that happening, and I pray and ask God that He would help me to manage that if that happened. And just because nobody knows. But how do we put limits? How do we say we can't do that when our grandchildren want us to do it and we want to do it, but maybe we can't? So I just know that for me, I have to be logical because our grandchildren will be open to logic. If we are logical and we say something logical and honest, they will also accept that. And then they will come back and ask us for another time, if we can, for another time. One of our granddaughters, who is 9, she loves to go to the dollar store. I said to my husband, why do you think she likes that so much? And he looked at me and he said, well, Kate, that's not hard to figure out. She just loves being with you. She just wants to go there with you. So she gets her cart. She has her little high heels on. She's all dressed up and she pushes her cart through the dollar store. And I'm following her, staying with her. But when I can't go because I don't have time, it's too rushed, and I know that there won't be time, I say, oh, honey, I'm so sorry. I would love to go with you, which is honest. But right now, we just can't do it. Can we set that up for next time? Can we plan that for another time? So I think we have to be honest with them and tell them, of course, I would want to do this if I could right now, but I can't right now. But as soon as we can, we will do that. Does that make sense? Okay. Does anybody else have an idea about what they might say if a grandchild asked them to do something and they couldn't do it? Due to maybe physical limitations or time limitations or financial limitations. If your grandchild asked if you could take them to Disney World, you're like, well, not so sure that's a good idea. But I mean, within reason. So I think for us to be logical and to be honest is the key. Our grandchildren are going to respect that. What's that? You can't hear me? Oh, okay. All right. Is everybody else able to hear me? No? Okay. I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm trying to keep my voice as close to the microphone as I can without it screeching or it sounding too loud. Okay. So the thing about millennials is that many of them are trying to do too much. And so the rule of thumb used to be one activity per child per season, whether that's sports or dance or some kind of music or scouts, as we were doing the scout, one activity per child per season. And then if you have 3 children, you're still going lots, but hopefully not the same night for each. The parents are. They might call on you to come and help with driving, maybe picking somebody up. But the thing with millennial parents, they're putting each child in several activities. So each child is maybe in 3 things, and so the family is running all the time. And they're not necessarily close where they're going. Many of them are in sports where they are on traveling teams, tournament teams. Our daughter was on a tournament basketball team, and we didn't sign her up for that, but someone came in and said, hey, you've got a great team. This would be a great team to add to the tournament league. And everybody else on the team said yes, and we said, well, we've never done it. We hear it's fun. Oh, it was awful. It was at the end of the season, I wrote an article for a national newsletter for parents, and the title was No More Tournament Anything. And we never did, ever. It was too much. We missed Mass on Saturday because you played on Saturday, you got the schedule, if you win, if you lose. Yep. And then we were there all day Sunday. We didn't have family time. We missed Mass. I said, no, never again. And we never did. We never went back on that. We just, because it's too much. And so where does a family who's raising children, where do they integrate faith? Where do they put faith in? So it's not uncommon to see parents drive through the drive-through, heave the bag of hamburgers and French fries over the back seat and yell, bless you, please don't get ketchup or don't get ketchup on the seats. I mean, it's just flying by the seat of their pants is what's happening. And sometimes parents will go back to school for further education, and they also want adventure. They want to go fun places. Am I describing an experience that you're all familiar with? Okay, yes.
I have the Gen Xer that does that. My millennials don't, but my Gen Xer does.
Okay, well.
Their kids are just like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
2 hockey traveling teams.
Right. She said that her Gen Xer child does this, and 2 hockey teams, traveling teams. It ends up that the family feels like it's unraveling. And where is the solid fabric that is pulling this family together? We counted on that. I don't know, I would assume, tell me what you think, I know that my family sat down for dinner every night. My dad came home, my mom made supper, it was a traditional family. We had 6 kids, still do, we're all still here. But my dad came home, the dinner table was set, we had our place at the table, and we sat down, we said prayers, we ate dinner. And then we cleaned up and then went about our night. That's just not normal in the world today. It's just not normal. For families to try to have dinner once or twice a week together is, for some of them, a stretch, instead of every night. So what's happening at the dinner table is that children are listening to people talk. They're practicing manners. They're listening to how you participate, how you're part of this, but you don't assume things. With kids, young people today, when there's not a solid fabric, the young people today are oftentimes eating at the counter. They might have a bowl of cereal. They might not even, and it's not because there's not money, but they might miss supper. They might miss supper and have a bedtime snack. I mean, it's just not the same experience that we had, that we likely just simply took for granted. And that is not, we can't take this for granted anymore in this era. And what the question I ask is, how are the children going to know to do this if it's not happening for them? And if no one provides this, how are they going to know that it's possible? So my husband and I, we have dinner at our house every Sunday night. Everybody's invited. We have 2 of our children. Everybody's married. We have 3 adult children, and 2 of them live in southern Minnesota, which is nice that they're close, and 1 lives in the cities. And the one in the cities, he and his wife, our son and his wife and kids, come for dinner every Sunday night, and we're Catholic, so that means that we turn off TV, it means we set the table, it means we start with prayer, it means we have a nice meal together on Sunday nights. Now, I don't think that our son and his wife do this because they're very busy. There's a lot of running, but at least they get it one night a week at our house. At least they're getting it somewhere. And if you can provide that, and it doesn't have to be an elaborate meal, it could even be pizza that you order. Did you want to ask a question? Oh, okay. It could even be pizza or mac and cheese. The food is immaterial. It's the sitting down together. It's the saying a meal prayer. Because what you're doing is you are communicating our Catholic faith. You are sharing it. This son of ours, she's completely, fabulously wonderful. And she's Lutheran. Our daughter-in-law is Lutheran. And so I have not said one word asking her if she'd like to become Catholic, because she knows we're Catholic. She knows it. She sees it. We go to Mass every Sunday. Their little boy, who is 8, made his first communion last Sunday. Yeah, do you think I cried? So I'm wondering, she and her mother, her parents happened to be divorced. But her mother and our daughter-in-law came to Christmas Eve Mass with us. And the kids and our son, everybody came, and our little grandson made his first communion. And his grandmother was there, who's Lutheran. Will our daughter-in-law choose to become Catholic? I don't know, but I'm not going to force that. I'm going to let her decide, but she knows that we pray. She knows that we're Catholic. She knows we go to communion. She knows we have reconciliation. She knows all of that. And so I don't have to sit down and lecture her. We are living it. We live it every day. I happen to have 2 holy water fonts, both of them gifts from my mother-in-law. We have rosaries. I have some crosses, some crucifixes up. I mean, our home is a Catholic home, and we're not making any bones about that. We're just doing it. We're just living it. And if she decides that she wants to become Catholic, that will be something she will decide. But their family knows this. Does anybody else, if you want to share, have a mixed faith tradition family? Okay.
I have a daughter-in-law who doesn't believe really in God, and my son did marry her, and he got dispensation, so they, married in the church of life. And it was a difficulty because her parents were very anti-Catholic, and so we had some struggles with that. But like you, who would just have our prayer time. At first she was a little bit offended when we would pray in her presence, and yet in time, she accepted that their children were baptized, and now he's able to bring them to church. And again, through your witness and your family, not necessarily telling, but just your example.
Right.
And through that joy that they see, that they want that.
Right. Beautiful. Thank you, Mary Louise. Mary Louise has a daughter-in-law that her son married who does not believe in God. And she said it was difficult, but they've carried on, and their children have been baptized, and her son takes them to church. Sometimes it can feel like it's crawling, but it's in God's time. It's not in our time. And when it happens, if it happens, it will happen when it's meant to and supposed to. And for us just to be obedient to what we hear God calling us to do, and to step up, and especially to live our faith. How many, if I can ask this, how many people have crosses or crucifixes in your homes, holy water fonts, okay, Catholic symbols? Okay, this is very important. It signifies a Catholic home. And for Catholics, this is different. This does set us apart. And it's not to judge other faith traditions at all. That's not what this is about. It's to say that we are different. We believe in the real presence of Christ. in the Eucharist. We believe that when the priest says the words of institution over the bread and wine, that becomes the body and blood of Christ. And then when we consume it, we become the essence of Christ in the world. And what that means is that when people see us, they don't see the real presence of Jesus, because we can't be that. We won't ever be that here on this earth. We won't ever be the real presence of Christ. But we will be the essence of Christ. So I've written a book, and Liguri Publications is going to publish it. It's a Catholic publisher. And I had written incorrectly, didn't realize it was incorrectly, that we become the real presence of Christ in the world. And a professor at St. Thomas, who was reading it for correction, he said, that's wrong. Oh, okay. So I had to fix it. And I said, okay, Dr. Frula, what if I was to say, because if I say the essence of Christ, people say, well, what does that mean? You become the essence of Christ? That doesn't mean anything to me. So I said, what if I was to say that we are a candle and we are like the wick of the candle? We can't light ourselves, but an outside source can light us. And then we can be lit and light the world around us. And Dr. Frula wrote back, he said, that is a very beautiful symbol. Yes, you may use that. So the one who lights us is Christ. So when we consume the body and blood of Christ, he now shines within us. He is going to shine within us and then through us into the world. And as he does that, we light the world. Does that make sense? Is that amazing? Is that beautiful? Yeah, I think for us to decide that we want to live like that, and for us to encourage our children and grandchildren to want that as well, that is amazing. Okay, let me see what this next slide. Okay, let me just go back 1 second. Okay, all right, yep, let's go to this slide. So many and if you said that the Gen X child, okay, is doing this, they want a big life. They want something that is defining. Can I say that? That seems so demeaning. I'm sorry. And I have 3 millennial children, and they would be so mad at me if they heard me say that. They want a life that is defining. Like, they want to stand out. When people are posting things on Facebook or the internet, that is increasing anxiousness in our children and grandchildren. When our children see that their friends are traveling all over, they're going to take a trip to Spain or to France or someplace, and they're at home paying the bills, getting to work, they can feel put upon. They still want the big life. But where does the faith tradition come in? It seems almost at times that they are willing to trade that big life for their faith. Like, if it has to be chosen, one or the other, they will sometimes choose the big life. And that the problem with that is, how are their children going to be churched? How are our grandchildren going to be able to have any sense of a faith tradition? Because what we know is that our faith is what gets us through the hard moments. We know that. Our faith is what helps us to manage the difficult moments in life. It's nice when it helps us with the easy moments, but with the difficult moments, we turn to God. We turn to God every day, ideally. But when the tough stuff happens, we need him. And if our children and grandchildren don't have that because they've traded it for a big life, now what? And so if no one is providing a clear example of a faith lived life, well, then where are our grandchildren and children going to see it? We have to be consistent. We have to be clear. We just have to live our faith Don't worry if anybody's catching it right then. Don't worry about that. Just live it and keep doing it. How often do they choose to spend Sunday mornings? What did I say here? On the golf course, at the coffee shop, cleaning the house, working out, going shopping. I mean, oftentimes their Sunday morning is their only day off. And so they're not choosing Mass. In fact, I looked up 2025. Let me tell you this, 2010. So what is that, 11 years ago? The attendance by this population at church was 41%. Today, in 2025, it's 18%. Less than 20% of millennials are going to church. Less than 20%. So if you have a grandchild who's making First Communion, that's a red letter day. That's amazing. Because to know that less than 20%, that's 1 in 5. Less than 1 in 5 is going to church on Sunday, making that a priority. So what kind of church experience are our grandkids receiving? If they don't see anything, if they don't witness anyone living their faith, how are they going to know that this is an option for them? And we're not judging our kids. That's not what we're about. Let's not do that, because people feel judged, they feel shamed, they walk away. And walk away faster and farther. So we don't need to do that. We don't want to do that. We want to love them and live our faith. So live it clearly, live it consistently, provide a beautiful example, and just witness God move. That's all I'm saying, just witness God move. You don't know how, when, where. You know why, but you don't know how, when, or where. You do know who, but you don't know the others. And so we have to leave this to God. Okay, let me see. I think I'm better with this one. Okay. All right, hang on. All right. Okay. Joseph, I think I'm pushing
Click the mouse on the side of it.
left or right.
Just get rid of the little pop-up menu.
Okay.
And then now use the arrow.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay. So this comes from my and yours and our catechism. This next quote comes out of the catechism, which I love the catechism. Now, if somebody said that they've read the entire catechism, you maybe have listened to Father Michael Schmidt's. Have you listened? Has anybody listened to Father Michael Schmidt's catechism in a year? It was amazing. It was amazing because he broke it down and he read a little bit at a time, and then he told you about why it was written, what it was about. Okay, so I took a quote. The family is the original cell of social life. Authority, stability, and a life of relationships within the family constitute the foundations for freedom, security, and fraternity within society. That's the fabric of society. That's what that's describing. It's how is society knit together? How is it kept together? Society is kept together through the family. If families go down, we have a real problem. And you can read many different websites and they'll all give you different statistics for the divorce rate right now. It's some of them, it's somewhere between 40 and 60%. And so second marriages, they're saying, are ending at 60%, and third marriages at 73%. I mean, it's rough. It's really rough. So the fabric of society is knit together through family. And Pope Francis says, grandparents are like the wisdom of the family. They are the wisdom of a people. So we, as grandparents, we have to share this. We cannot sit on it. Invite your kids over. Have a time where you sit and maybe read a gospel story to your grandchildren. Maybe get some coloring books and color crayons, and it'll have Bible stories. Just do anything to teach them about the faith. And don't worry about it. because you'll hear about it later. They will tell you about it later, what it meant to them. But at the time, you probably won't, they won't even know. But they're learning from you. Our older grandson is 13, and I just happenstance, I don't even have any, I remember saying something to him, but I don't remember in what context. But I said something about groceries. And I said, you know, James, when you're bagging groceries, make sure you put the heavier stuff on the bottom. Put the lighter stuff on top. Why do you think you would do that? And he goes, well, I bet if I put the bread on the bottom, it would get squished. And I said, yep, that's probably right. So he was shopping with his dad, and he said, Dad, Nani always says, put the heavy stuff on the bottom. So how did I know that he was going to remember that? But you have to say something. We have to step forward. We have to say something about our faith. And like I say, you could even get coloring books. You can get a Bible, a children's Bible, and set it out. And if they're sitting in your lap, say, hey, should we read this really cool story about King David? And then just let them pick it up gradually. And then John Paul II, I love this. He says, as the family goes, so goes the nation, and so goes the whole world in which we live. The family is the core. If we lose family, we're in trouble. If we lose our faith, we are really in trouble. And there is a word that is used in the Old Testament, and it's, I think, like 267 times. Okay. And I'm going to use mine are over there, so it's kind of small, but I'll write it big. Remnant. So I love to sew. I don't sew as much right now, but I do love to sew. And sometimes if you sew quilts, or if you do quilting, or if you do doll clothes or things, you'll go to the fabric store and they have fabric on bolts. But when they get to the end of the bolt, what they do is they can't really wrap it. Well, it's too much to throw away, but it's not really worth much. But it's worth something. Somebody might buy this. So they wrap it up and they throw it into the remnant bin. It's like throw away. Yeah, we're the remnant. We're that thing that nobody's really taken much account of. Yes, but we're worth something. What we have to say, we are the remnant. And it's like 267 or 270 times that word is used in the Old Testament. God always leaves a remnant. Every time that it looked like the faith was going to be at the risk of falling, no, the remnant is what got it back. The remnant is what I just got a goosebump. Did anybody else just get a goosebump? Okay, that is the Holy Spirit. It is the remnant that brings it back. So we should not be surprised that we are feeling maybe close to the edge. Just trust God, because, I'm sorry, my phone is ringing. Here you go. I'll just turn it off. There we go. We are the remnant, and we don't underestimate that. God is going to use us. And so step forward, allow Him to use us in the way He wants to use us. We don't have to tell Him what we're going to do. He'll tell us. And what we have to do is we have to open our hearts and minds, and we have to ask the Holy Spirit to please speak to us. Now, I did this about 30 years ago. I asked the Holy Spirit to please speak to me. And almost immediately, I got a goosebump. But I didn't recognize it. I would get it, but I didn't know what it was. And so I just kind of poo-pooed it. Just thought, oh, I don't know what this is. And then it took me 5 years. I kept asking, will you please give me a sign that you're speaking to me? He's like, clonk, clonk, clonk. And then after 5 years, I thought, oh, wait a minute. Maybe that goosebump is his sign. So I said, okay, well, I'm gonna call it a sign. Holy cow, it came constantly. So the Holy Spirit will let you know when He is speaking to you by giving you a sign. If you ask for it, he will give it to you. But then you have to it's going to be different for everybody. And I can't tell you what a sign might be. I mean, they're different. There are some people, they have signs of a sense of knowing. They're like, I never thought that before. And all of a sudden this thought comes to them and they're like, oh, okay. Or they have a feeling. There's like a warm feeling. Sometimes people say that. Like, where did that come from? Or like I say, goosebumps. Goosebumps are very common. And what you'll see is when Jesus said, when 2 or more are gathered in my name, I am in your midst. It's not uncommon if you're talking to someone about faith and for both of you to get a goosebump. Because that is the Holy Spirit present right there. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, so our son, who has the little boy that was just made his first communion, he's very busy at his work. And so he works some evenings. And so he asked if I would mind helping to prepare Jack for first communion. Well, I was thrilled. I said, of course. So if we are asked to help, if we're asked to assist, we don't want to give them a lecture and say, maybe you should tell them you need a few extra hours off. Or maybe you should just not be so busy. Oh, no, that's not going to help. So I did. I went over and I prepared him. And the two of us, the day that he went to do his first reconciliation, he came up to me and this little 8-year-old, he just hugged me and he just said, Nani, thank you so much. So kids can have stuff heavy on their hearts and heavy on their minds, and they can go to the sacrament of reconciliation and feel it lifted. So I don't know. I never asked him what he thought. I didn't ask him what he said. That's not my business. I did ask the priest. They wanted the person who was preparing the child to go first so the child would see how it's done. And I asked our daughter-in-law, she was there, she was Lutheran, and I said, would you go talk to the priest if he could talk to you? And she said, sure. So I went first, and then Jack was going to go after me. And I asked the priest, I said, our daughter-in-law is Lutheran, but she said that if you would talk to her, she would like to talk to you. And he said, I can talk to her, I just can't give her absolution. I said, I think that's fine. Sure enough, after Jack, she went right up. And I, again, have no idea, it's not my business, but I think when we invite our family members into the sacraments are such a beautiful experience. They say that a sacrament is a visible sign of an invisible reality. So the invisible reality is that Christ lives in every one of us. The visible sign is I go up and receive communion, someone's baptized, someone receives confirmation, someone receives absolution, or they are married, or they receive holy orders, or the last rites. They are so beautiful, beautiful moments in the life of a Catholic. And so for us, if someone asks you if you'd like to help, step up. It's the most honored experience you'll have. Okay. This is our opportunity to help both children and grandchildren. See this shift in our culture as an opportunity, not as a liability. Like I just said, nobody needs a lecture. Nobody needs to hear from us that they're not doing it right. All that does is increase shame, and shame shuts us down. We don't need shame. Nobody needs that. And so what we want to do is we want to be there, and this shift is happening. And do we know where it's going? No. But if we can place ourselves into the stream of this culture, but don't go along with it. You're gonna swim up against it, but you're still going to be part of it, and be part of it thoroughly Catholic. So does that sound hard? Okay, can you say something about that? Oh, okay, yes. Oh, I have 5 minutes. Okay, I think I'm almost done. Okay, thank you. Speak only in positive terms. Look for the positive. Don't disavow the negative. Just ignore it. If something is happening, ignore the negative, but accentuate the positive. Did you want to say something, Mary Louise?
I think our openness to the Holy Spirit, like for instance, I have several grandchildren, one of the things I do, because I get a little nervous before watching my grandchildren, because they're very ages from infant to 10 years old. I pray my guardian angel.
Okay.
The guardian will be with you.
Yes.
Protect the children as I with them.
Okay.
And help me to speak, think, and act through me.
Wow.
Like you talked about being that candle.
Yes.
I'm thinking like we're like a tabernacle.
Sure.
Jesus is one with us. We are him, but he lives in us.
Right. Beautiful.
And so when we pray for the Holy Spirit, we lean on the Holy Spirit. It's not us.
Right.
It's God in us. He knows what they need to hear.
Exactly. Exactly. And then if we're listening, we're going to say what needs to be said in the way it needs to be heard. So Mary Louise said that she always prays to her guardian angel before her grandchildren come over. So speak in terms that build hope and a sense of well-being, or that someone has a sense that things are going to work out okay. There's enough hopelessness and enough sadness, frustration. We don't need to increase that or in any way to add to that. So what can you do? We all need to have an action plan. So that would be, so you might say, so is this what you were talking about tonight, Kate? Yes, we all need to have an action plan. So what does your faith mean to you? This is something that every one of us should answer. And I don't mean to say should, because should is a shame word, but here we go. Every one of us wants to answer that question. What does my faith mean to me? Do we say meal prayers? Do we go to Mass? Do we have pictures, crucifixes, holy water fonts in our homes? Is it a Catholic home? Would someone walk into your house and say, this is a Catholic home? And if you don't, think about making a visit over to St. Patrick's Guild. They will be happy to help your home to become a Catholic home. Are we living our faith each day and making it clear that we're Catholic and we're proud of that? I wear a cross. I asked when I substitute teach a couple days a week in the public school. The first day that I went 3 years ago, I didn't know if I could wear it. And I saw someone else with the cross. And I asked, can I wear a cross? And she said, well, yeah, but you just can't talk about it. I said, I don't need to talk about it. It'll do all the talking for me. So I actually did go to St. Patrick's Guild and I did buy a Catholic cross. It's a cross with the corpus on it. So it's not just a cross, but it has Jesus's body on it. And then I wear my miraculous medal of Mary as well every day. And I see people look at them and I'm like, okay, I don't have to talk about this because you know what I mean. You know what I stand for. Okay, are we living our faith spontaneously each day? Those would be the challenges for all of us as grandparents and as parents to just choose to live our faith in dynamic and alive ways so that we'll let the Holy Spirit determine how that's going to impact this culture, because that's not up to us. Okay, I just say thank you. See this time as our time to make a significant difference in the lives of our children, grandchildren, and the culture. And I love this quote from St. Joan of Arc. She said, as she was being taken to be martyred, I was born for this. God is with me. I am not afraid. So I think for every one of us, maybe to choose your favorite saint and have it be a witness for you and for others. Okay? Oh, good grief. Okay. Ooh.
Why is it doing
Oh, I don't know. Maybe the battery's down. Okay.
It's blinking red. Can't be a good sign. Anyway, thank you, Kate.
Thank you.
Inspiring presentation. That's a lot to think about and reflect on. At this time, at our tables, we'll have just a couple of discussion questions. We're going to take maybe 5-6 minutes, and then we're going to come back together and have a closing. So, thank you.
Good.